Hello, this lecture is for May 28th, 2013, gearing us up for Lab 8, which has raster analysis and raster data. The tentative plan for the 28th will be 3 to 4 lab help. You may also see me in my office from 2 to 3 p.m. Please email me and let me know that you are going to be there and what time so I can be sure to be there, and so we can schedule people so we don't have two people at the same time. In the lab at 4:15 I will give announcements. From 4:15 to 4:30, 4:30 to 4:45 will be Lab 7 bonus maps. I've received several already and they look very good. 4:45 to 5 we'll have an instructor evaluation, the traditional bubble forms that you complete. And then from 5 until whenever you're done, you may work on Lab 8. There are new videos. I am unsure of how many there will be, but there will be at least 5 or 6 new videos. And in this lab, we will revisit all of the labs from 1 through 7. The final is due. Remember that Wednesday, June 12th, not Saturday, June 12th, but Wednesday, June 12th at 12 a.m. or midnight on June 11th, almost the same time, the final is due. So be sure to get those final 2 courses done on the Esri virtual campus. Final reminders and announcements: on June 4th, we will have the final karaoke quiz. In fact, it won't be that karaoke-ish because you're all ready to complete those quizzes. You should be well skilled enough to complete them. It'll be worth about 50 points because we've been skipping it the past several weeks to give us more time to work on our labs, and also there was an error in some data at one time, so we bailed on Lab 6, or Quiz 6 I believe. The quiz will cover material from Labs 1 through 8, and you will have a choice of 2 to complete. They're separate mapping assignments and you'll have a choice of 2. Both will consist of similar analyses, but you may choose which one you desire to complete, and that will be due at 9 p.m. on Tuesday, June 4th. Some assistance will be provided. However, some of the basic skills from Labs 1 through 4 will not be, no help for that. The basic skills will be provided. You'll be expected to know those skills. Let's move on to the topic of the day, which is raster data. First of all, in ArcMap, you may have to turn on Spatial Analyst. You do this by going to Customize, Extensions, and then Spatial Analyst. It is installed already, but you must turn it on to make it work, and make sure it is activated. Vector versus raster. Neither is superior. Vectors consist of points, lines, and polygons, as shown on the left, and rasters are cells, or a grid of cells. There are 2 types of rasters per se. There's a raster and a grid. Raster data is stored as cells and pixels. They can be in the form of a JPEG, a TIFF, an SID, or SID, Mr. SID they call it. A grid is a special data format formerly required by Spatial Analyst in pre-ARC 10. In this case, we have a discrete raster where everything, all of these cells that are pink are coded 14, all of these that are blue are 10. This is how land use raster data is coded. It's similar to a polygon, but it is indeed, in fact, it is a raster because you can tell the cellular format that it is very rigid in terms of the cells. Cells or rasters hold their shape, and it's a very unique shape, unique to every single cell in the raster, and that's the benefit of using rasters. Things you don't need to know right now. First of all, there are hundreds of functions for rasters. Here's an example of a continuous raster, which is an image, which is black and white cells in varying shades of gray to depict looks like a neighborhood. This also is a raster. More often than not, it's thought of as a orthophoto. In this case, our raster is an image. These are the items that we won't mess with this week. We'll save that for the intermediate and advanced GIS courses. You'll learn about map algebra, distance function, Boolean overlays, density analysis, interpolation, neighborhood statistics, zonal stats, resampling, and viewshed analysis. What do you need to know for Lab 8? You need to know how to do spatial analysis and how to reclassify. In this case, we have a slope raster that starts out with values of 0 to 10 and then 10 to 90 and then no data. We will actually classify that into two distinct classes, a class of 1 or a class of 0. And this is the reclassification process. You will do this in ArcMap. You convert one set of grid values to another. In this image, we have several examples of rasters. This one is a digital elevation model showing elevation. This one is of slope. This image down here, the bottom left, is aspect, is which direction the faces are facing, so to speak. This one is a hillshade. You used a hillshade in earlier labs, but in this lab you will actually create a hillshade from a raster, which is a different form of a raster. And in the bottom right, that is contours, and that is creating contours from a digital elevation model or from some other form of a raster. And with that, we wrap up the short version of preparation for Lab 8 of the lecture. Normally it's a very short lecture so that people can begin working on their labs. I will post at the very bottom of Canvas at the very end after the lab directions if you'd like to see the longer version of the lecture. However, what you've seen should suffice for getting you started on Lab 8. The longer lecture will consist of the detailed slides from Mary Beth Price and may help you on the quiz if you have yet to take the quiz. And that is Lab 8.